from Your Black World, and I wanted to address something real quick that I just saw that really got my attention. Minister Louis Farrakhan has spoken about some of the scrutiny that he's received from members of well, I wouldn't say the hip hop community, but people outside of the hip hop community who are wondering why he's been meeting with a lot of rappers, some of which have been paid by big corporations to promote messages that are very toxic and self-destructive and genocidal for black people. We're talking about guys like Young Thug, Rick Ross, stuff like that, and Two Chains, and and I remember Two Chains. I remember when I went to Morehouse one time, and there was a brother in Morehouse, a young student, who asked me a very innocent but very telling question. He said, "Dr. Watkins, I don't know how to understand this because he said I don't know how much they're paying you to be here, but one minute you're here and I'm hearing a certain message from you, but then this weekend, Two Chains is coming, and his biggest song is All I Want for My Birthday Is a Big Booty Hoe." And I don't understand. That seems like a mixed message to me. And I said, well, you are absolutely correct. You have to follow your instincts on this. Some of these messages are very mixed. They're very unhealthy. They're very toxic. And so a lot of people didn't understand everything about Farrakhan's strategy. He's taken a lot of pictures with rappers. He's invited a lot of rappers to his home. And a lot of people say, well, why are you talking to these people? It doesn't make any sense. And I was trying to sort of figure it out myself. It wasn't that I had a problem with the strategy. I have a lot of respect for Farrakhan. I don't live that far away from him. And also, I went to visit him and I sat with him for 3 hours, just me and him talking. And it was like talking to my grandfather that I'd never met. It was one of the most impactful experiences I've ever had because he has a very powerful charisma and ability to truly listen to you and truly connect to you wherever you are. And I can see why Farrakhan would be a person that black men would speak to because he listens to black men. He's a strong black man, even at the age of 82. I think he's 82 now. He's incredibly strong. I mean, just in fact, I think in his 60s he was bench pressing almost 400 pounds. I mean, the man is extraordinary mentally and physically, and that's the kind of thing that black men need to look up to. We need strong men to defend and protect our communities. We don't need men being pushed to be overly feminized, overly weak, because that's kind of what they want. That's why if you look in Hollywood, you'll see so many black men, so many prominent black men who've been put in dresses, wearing wigs, made to look, to look like women, because that is less threatening to Hollywood. That's why Lee Daniels is going to get more opportunities than say masculine black men with bass in their voice, right? With that being said, the fact is that with Farrakhan, there's a gravitation toward him because people see an authenticity with him that they don't see with other more traditional civil rights leaders, if you want to call them that. We know that maybe Farrakhan's not perfect. We know that he has a long history. There's a lot of stuff people talk about laid on the table. There's a lot of stuff that people talk about with Malcolm X and what happened there. And I've thought about that myself. And just being completely honest with you, my conclusion is that they had an issue with each other, and I've chosen to love them both. That's my perspective. I don't necessarily think that whatever happened then should be something that keeps me away from supporting the message that Farrakhan has for the people, because the fact is the people need this message. They need him to be there for the way that he has been there. But at the same time, we have to have an army that's there, a million people that will take that same energy and will translate that energy into something new and fresh on the day that Farrakhan is no longer with us, whenever that day may be. I think the man's going to live to be 200 years old, but just in case he doesn't, we have to be ready to pick up the baton and keep running. So even if Farrakhan's not your cup of tea, even if you have an issue with him as a person for some reason, that does not mean you should have an issue with the issue that he's bringing to the table, with the ideas he's bringing to the table. The idea of black economic sustainability is universal. I don't care if you don't like the messenger. You must focus on that message. The idea of us cleaning up our act in certain ways when it comes to respecting black women, that's universal. You don't have to like the person giving you the message in order for you to appreciate the message. The idea of us dealing with police brutality, dealing with urban violence, dealing with black unemployment, unemployment, dealing with mass incarceration, dealing with all the things that are harming our children, um, that's even bigger than one man, bigger than one person. I think that America, if you want to speak specifically about Farrakhan, I think that what he's saying about people fearing his voice is absolutely true. For many, many years, they would keep him out of universities. They kept him off of major media because they didn't want black people to hear from him. So we almost had to sneak and talk to him. Prominent celebrities would have to sneak and communicate with him because they knew that the individuals who were controlling their careers, mostly white, many of them Jewish, had a big issue with Farrakhan. And what's interesting is that most of these people that have a big issue with him have never heard a Farrakhan speech. They've never read a Farrakhan article. They've never read a book about his life. They don't know anything about him. They just know what the media has portrayed him to be. And so he's a very dangerous man because not just because he teaches black people to be educated and stuff like that, but it's because he teaches us to be powerful. He teaches us to be strong and independent. He teaches us to defend and fight and protect that which we cherish. You don't hear that from anybody else. You're not going to hear that from the Southern Christian Leadership Conference or from the NAACP or from some other civil rights leaders. You're certainly going to hear from Al Sharpton because he's going to bring the government's message to you. That's what Sharpton does. But even if you look at the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March and listen to the slogan for the march, the slogan is, I think it's justice or else. Now think about that. That's a very bold statement. Again, you wouldn't get that at a Sharpton rally. No disrespect to Sharpton or anybody else. You might hear no justice, no peace, but that just kind of means we're going to march and rally and yell until you give us what we want. We're going to keep begging you to be nice to us. Justice or else goes deeper. Or else means I'm getting in your face and I'm letting you know you're not going to disrespect me anymore. You're not going to harm my children anymore. You're not going to treat me like I'm less than a human being anymore. If you do that, then there will be consequences. I will stand up for myself and what is mine and what I believe in. And that's personally why a Farrakhan message works for me. I think that's why a lot of black men respect that message, no matter who they are. I mean, when he's sitting up there hugging Young Thug, even I learned from that because I've always had an issue with Young Thug. I don't know if I could be the person that hugs a Young Thug and really talks to him without saying, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand this. But the point that he makes that I think is very important to understand is that a lot of these young guys are just sick. There are mental illnesses that erupt or emerge from the horrific conditions under which they were forced to survive and to endure and to grow up in. So, and if you really want to trace it back, you go back to the war on drugs when it started in 1971, and they started putting so many black fathers in prison. The fathers are out of the homes, so you got these boys growing up with no male role models. Male role models are incredibly important for controlling adolescent behavior, and that's why you see young men getting out of control. You see young women getting out of control. A lot of that is because there are no men in the homes to deal with that. When you have strong father figures there, that strong father is what manages that child's behavior. So this nonsense that you're being fed by the liberal establishment, that matriarchy is fine, that you don't need a father in the house, that's bull. I mean, that's I would say that's bullshit, but I'm not gonna cuss. That's ridiculous. That's a lie. That's a myth. Do not believe that stuff. Black men matter. Black fathers matter. We have to be in the home with our children. Any man who does not make every effort to be there with his child is harming that child. Any mother that thinks all my baby needs is me, that's not true. Your baby needs a father, girl, male or female, just like your baby needs a mother. We can't imagine a child without a mother. So why in the world do we imagine children without a father? That doesn't make any sense. So Farrakhan, to some extent, he is the father of millions of young black men, whether we like it or not, whether you like Farrakhan or not. I know people have their objections, and I'm open to that. I mean, you can share that. Please feel free to share it in the comments. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But at the same time, I encourage you not to just focus on the man, focus on the message. The message and the idea is what will live long after Farrakhan's gone, after I'm gone, after you're gone. That's what we want to build. That's what we want to maintain. So, when I look at what he's doing, I can understand exactly why America fears Farrakhan, why people in the power structure fear Farrakhan. Because once you have somebody like Farrakhan, Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you a little secret. I don't even know if I can even tell this or not, but I was approached by some people to help Farrakhan get on the Breakfast Club, basically, because I had gone on the Breakfast Club and somebody reached out and they asked me to make a connection, and I did. I normally don't get into that kind of stuff, but I did in this case. And as the other people on the show, they made the final decision, but I really wanted him on this show because I really felt that if he got into the ear of urban America, if he gets into the ear of these hip hop artists, if his message gets into the hands of artists, entertainers, and athletes, and they really embrace it, that will be the beginning of our revolution. That will be the beginning of our freedom as a people. And so when I saw him on that show, I literally said, I sent a text over to somebody I know who's on the Breakfast Club, and I said, you know what? I said, that was probably the most important interview in black history in the last 50 years, easily. Maybe last 40 years. I don't know. But one of the most important interviews of all time. It was more important than even getting a black president. Getting a black president was nice, but in terms of affecting the livelihood of people that are really deep in the struggle, I'm not talking about the black elite, I'm talking about everybody else. That interview was very powerful, very impactful. So, if you want to know my opinion, I'm all in favor of it. I'm very excited about what I'm seeing. I support the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. I think Farrakhan is a tremendous weapon, but I think at the same time, we all have to be weapons. He's a leader, but we all have to be leaders. Because remember, if you set up a movement where they can just take out one person, discredit, or either kill his character or assassinate him or whatever, if you set up a movement that can be taken out by ending one person's life, then that's not a sustainable movement. All of us have to be prepared to step in as leaders in our own communities, our own families, and our own lives, and just be self-determined. And that comes with self-confidence and believing in yourself, and being unified with your people. And those are all the things that they never wanted black people to have. Black unity is a matter of national security. That's why they put the drugs in the black community and started mass incarceration, was to dispel or dissipate everything that was going on in the 1960s. They didn't want that to happen anymore. But guess what? It's a new day. It's 50 years later. People are waking up, and I'm damn glad to see it. That's all I want to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. By the way, our Black Wealth Boot Camp, if you want to check that out, it's at theblackwealthbootcamp.com. That's theblackwealthbootcamp.com. Come take a look. We're talking about money. We're talking about black people. We're talking about all the things that'll build our lives. Until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.